It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Hello to all. Welcome to Divas That Care Network. I am Joyce Benning, and I will be your host for this absolutely magical, robust lifestyle show. First of all, I would like to thank each one of our listeners that have tuned in live today. I am just so very thankful and grateful for each and every one of you as you listen to this recording on the podcast. It is just amazing, all of our Divas That Care listeners that tune in to these wonderful podcasts by all our different hosts. And with that, I am so excited today as I have with me a returning diva, Susanna Kurz, and her and I are going to continue our chat about spirituality. So it is going to totally be a magical show. And with that, Susanna, would you please introduce yourself to our listeners today?
Yeah, thank you, Joyce. I'm really happy to be back on the show and that you're having me again. I've been here last time and shared my journey from being more or less a skeptic, very logical minded, and a career in academia, in the humanities, and then transitioning to becoming a life coach and a creator. That's always been a part of my journey, that I have these creative urges and I'm doing all sorts of creative things. And part of this journey was to increasingly explore spiritual concepts first, and what I call the background reality that many of us can't easily perceive with our five senses usually. And on the way, I've also then sought out experiences and made my own experiences. And I hope we're going to go a bit deeper into that today.
Oh, yes, definitely. I really feel our listeners can benefit from some of the spiritual experiences that you have had, especially since you have been a skeptical one on this spiritual journey, and just sharing more about some of the spiritual experiences you have had over this past year as you have been diving more deeper, as I will call it, into your spiritual journey. So, Susanna, I'll just let you kind of start where you would like to with some of those experiences, and we'll just let our listeners sit back and enjoy.
Wonderful, great. Yes, the thing is that I'm not one of the people who have come into this world with some amazing spiritual gifts switched on. So I couldn't see energies or hear deceased people or anything like that. I mean, there are people who have these fascinating gifts, and I didn't have any of that. What I had, however, was some kind of strong intuitive guidance when it came to important life decisions. And I didn't really call it that back then. It was just something I've later reflected on, and would say that was just my intuition that always directed me. I just knew something was right for me, and something felt good, and I went by what felt good, and very well, decisively so. Also, I didn't have those plan B things usually for things like that, and that's something I had, but I didn't have any special perceptions. But I've always been fascinated by all sorts of phenomena, reading about them. And as I went on my journey, and I'm a seeker in a way, and always have been, because I've always been curious. And I've also, as we talked last time, had an urge to find out what the meaning of everything is, and especially life and death, and what the meaning behind life actually is, especially in the face of death, and how to, imagine death. And now I had a couple of losses in my family from a relatively young age. I had a relatively young age, and that went through my childhood, my teens, and then we had a bigger gap. And then in my early 30s, we lost my last grandmother, and then we had a bit of a gap again. And just this year, in January, so it's almost a year now, and this is a time that is very reminiscent. Oh yes, reminiscent. So reminiscent. Okay, I'm German, guys, so bear with me. English is not my native language. Yeah, of the situation we had last year with my father, who wasn't in good health at this time last year, and in January he then passed away. And so this was a very intense year for me, very special year in a way. And there were other things, other challenges that came up. And in the course of that, and the challenges that come with the death of a parent, obviously, because there's a lot of things you then have to do and have to take care of. Especially when your remaining parent isn't in a very good shape, obviously. And there were other challenges in other areas of my life. And in this time, interestingly, I did have some quite interesting experiences in spring, in March. So that was a time where I was still very actively involved in the grieving process, very actively grieving, and also kind of mentally reaching out and emotionally reaching out also to my father, because I had come to the conclusion, obviously, as we talked last time, that he's still there, but not in the way we are used to, and not in the way that makes it easy for us to communicate, because he's not in his physical form anymore. But I tried to have some sort of communication. I talked a lot to him, and had also had the feeling he was there. And then thankfully I had the space to sit back a bit and go within. And in March, I actually did a very interesting free challenge. What was on Facebook? A coach on Facebook who did a challenge about getting more in touch with your intuition, with your spiritual gifts, and so on, with your clair senses also. And I did that. That was a 5-day challenge, and pretty much at the start of that, we had a meditation, and during that meditation, I had a beautiful experience, and that was really special. And I think there will be people who have had it more often and more extensively, but it was really special for me, because I had kind of a tickling feeling in my third eye here, this area between my eyebrows, where people say it's a third eye, And then I had some perception of like pastel colors, which is usually not my favorite kind of colors, because I like the bright, and strong. and that's what kind of pastel colors, like a bit green and a bit red and something, but really nice and soft colors. And it was as if I felt like I was in a circle of beings, kind of. And I felt, and that was really an overwhelming feeling of well-being, and everything is fine. Everything is just taken care of, and everything is fine. And I, for a few seconds just, and for these few seconds, I really couldn't relate to why do I have any worries about anything? It was kind of like, there's no reason to have any worries. It's just everything is taken care of, and everything is fine, and everything is good. And that was a really, really strong emotion, really strong feeling and experience. And it was very short. It was I wanted to keep it longer, but it's just was drifting through for a few seconds. But during that, I'm trying to recall it now, but sometimes, because it was so beautiful, and I really had the feeling it's totally there's no reason at all to be worried about anything. It's all good. It's all fine, and it's really hard to describe this experience. But I totally love that, and I think I haven't shared it anywhere so far. So I really wanted to share that today here. And in this whole experience of these 5 days, I then had in one meditation, I had my father showing up, actually, in his essence, so to speak, in his current form. And that was also kind of a surprise, because obviously he was a lot on my mind at that point, but he was I wasn't thinking of him at that point, and it was a meditation that was going somewhere else, and he just showed up. And it was also a surprise, because he felt different from how he used to feel in his physical form. And I clearly recognized him, but it was really different. It was really beautiful, because it was very very loving. And I couldn't really see much. I don't have a very clear visual clair, so to speak. It's more a feeling thing for me. I do see things, but it's not like a very clear shape or something. It's more like as if you're seeing energy, like something floating around. And I felt it. And interestingly, I didn't hear any words or get any words, but we had a communication, because I remember that in my thoughts, I said to him, yes, I love you too. So it was like he had and from that, I understood that he had just communicated to me what he wanted to communicate. And that is why I think the next experience that I had during this challenge, and then shortly afterwards, that he may have had a hand in that somehow, because I had actually been told in a reading in summer 2022 already. So 3/4 of a year before that, someone had done a reading for me and had said, yeah, well, I'm meant to channel stories and poems and things like that. And I said, yeah, well, okay, that's nice. I mean, I like writing. I always have liked writing, or I've consciously written fiction and things like that. And I liked the idea, but I thought, okay, but how do I get that channeled? I had done a course once, and I had actually some experiences with that too. I think a year earlier, a year earlier, but I hadn't been able to keep that up and to stay connected. And it's so I didn't really know how to approach that. I tried something like, let's see if automatic writing works, and I did that a while, and nothing really came through. And I was like, I'm writing here and I'm trying to see what, what comes through. But so I hadn't, by that time in spring 2023, I still hadn't managed to channel anything sensible, because I just didn't know how to approach it. And during the challenge, then suddenly I had, and that was about, calling in guides and making a connection, a meditation for that. And I suddenly had a connection to being that she had told me in the reading wanted to work with me, which she said is Raguel, which is one of the angels, and I then looked him up, who is Raguel, and so on. I'm not really into angels and things, I don't really know a lot about that. For certain reasons, because remember, I have this journey of a skeptic who then says, okay, I recognize this name is half ancient Egypt and half Ottoman times, and that's kind of a mixture where I think, okay, people just throw things together, so that's why I've never done a deep dive into that, because I had the feeling, because I've studied things like languages and history and religions of this area also, and so I can see where it comes from, and then it gets connected in strange ways, and it just looks like someone has tried to make something up. I don't think that's the case. I think it works differently now, but that was why I always had a bit of a hesitation to go into that. But she said, okay, Raguel wants to work with me and in channeling these stories and all that. And I said, yeah, okay, let's see. And he has actually core values that are aligned with yours. And then I looked him up and I found that he's about justice and fairness and things like that, inter alia. And that's something where I said, okay, yes, that resonates. So let's see. Maybe we can get a connection there. And in this challenge, in the meditation for calling in the guides and connecting with the guides, a really strong presence showed up for me and touched me, and I had this feeling in my body, and I thought, oh, okay, he made a connection there, and somehow recognized that must be that. And then I followed up the following days, and I got something like a message like, yeah, get into that feeling, and then we'll play a bit and just get into that feeling. And that's a certain feeling in my body, being very anchored in my body, actually. It's a feeling. And then I think the week after that, it started that when I got into this feeling, anchoring myself in my body, and then just wait if something comes up. Then it started that some images came up. Mostly it started with an image, and then sometimes also words, and then kind of a little story evolved. And I said, okay, that's interesting, that's new. So I wrote that down. I wrote down what I was seeing in my mind's eye, and then I said, okay, and now, and I dropped in my body, because I didn't want my my mind to make up how the story can go now. So it's essentially, I'm working with hypnosis as a coach, and it's essentially what I'm doing in when I have a client in hypnotic trance and they go into their mind, which I can relate to because I'm a very brainy person, and that's why I have learned how to get back into the trance state, because when you go too far up in your mind, then you can hear that when a client talks, when they are going into their mind, and then they drop out of the trance state, and you don't want that. And then we go back by going into the body feeling. And that's essentially how I've done that, to go back into this feeling of being anchored in my body and feeling into that and waiting what comes up. And then something came, and I wrote that down. And at the end, I said, yeah, okay, and what does it mean now? Because these are very short stories. I call them parables, actually, because they're very short. Something happens sometimes not much is happening. I also had something like kind of like a picture, like a miniature or something. And that's it's quite interesting. But then, so there's not happening a whole lot. Sometimes there's more action, sometimes less, but it's very short. And at the end of the story, of the first story, I was, yeah, okay, and what does that mean? I mean, what do I do with that now? And then I waited in the same way. I waited, and then a message came through what that means. And that's since then that's happened with every story somehow. Sometimes it popped up really early on when the story started, and I was while I was writing down what was coming through, I suddenly had the realization where this is going and what the meaning will be. And so, and I've included that. I've done a selection of 21 stories and 2 bonus stories for a little book, which I actually wanted to have it in print for before Christmas, but I didn't manage to, because the formatting for print is a little bit more difficult. It takes a bit more time, because it's a bit tricky. I know how to do it because I've been in academia, and you have to do that for your books, at least here, because the publishers usually say, give me a printable PDF. I will do the title work, and I will get the ISBN, and I will get the international number for the book, and I will put it on my catalog and everywhere else. But you give me a printable PDF. So I know how to do it, but it takes a bit more time than I thought, because I have pictures in it. I spent a lot of time editing a picture per story also. And preparing that. So I think it's a nice gift book, but sadly I can't get it ready for Christmas. But I have it in as a Kindle ebook in German and in English meanwhile. So I first, because I'm German, I first write everything in German, but then I turned it into English also. So just wanted to mention that. It's parables for truth seekers. And I've included the message, but on the flip page, so to speak. I mean, in an ebook, it's just the next page, but I wanted to have the story for itself, and then people can engage with the story first, and then they can, if they want, they can look what the message was that came through. And then I have some journaling prompts also to get deeper into it and maybe get something out of your own inner truth that is sparked by the story. And that's essentially what happened there. So that's my really interesting and fascinating and new spiritual experiences, kind of really deep this year, which I think somehow had to do with the fact that my father transitioned this year, and we weren't really prepared for that. Although he hadn't been in good health before, but there were reasons why we weren't really prepared for it. Although I think you can't be really prepared for it anyway. But it also was. It wasn't like everyone would have said, and now it's going to end soon. It was more like it could go, the other direction now, and we were more prepared for it going the other direction, and so it was a bit of a shock. Although it was in the framework of what could happen. And I think that was it has to do with that, and that's the experiences I had. And I actually have channeled, I think, 77 stories by the time I was starting to write the book. But I've made this selection and will put the others out in different form. That had mostly practical reasons, because I wanted to have the images, and I wanted to make it into a print book then, and a print book with a lot of images. The more pages you have, with color images, the more expensive it gets. And then at some point it's not very interesting anymore for anyone to buy it. But yeah, that's my experiences, which I really wanted to share, because I know how important it can be when you are yourself, you are on the path of um, looking for answers and looking for truth and looking for this background reality. And when you are a seeker, you get very inspired when you hear about other people's experiences and what can happen. And I like to share it, especially because I don't have any of those, amazing natural gifts that some people really are born with or have as little children already. And you find a lot of people like that in the spiritual communities. And if you don't have that, you can feel like a bit like an outsider and start doubting if it's available to you. And so I want to encourage everyone who is on this path to and maybe does not have these gifts from the start, and that you can develop a lot, and things will come at some point, and when it's the time and when you're ready.
Oh, Susanna, that was just beautiful. Something I was hearing and feeling was you went within. The anchor was within yourself to feel those feelings and to let them out. And I kind of feel, I'm going to ask you this. Do you feel your dad crossed over because he knew you had that inside of you, and he could help you more on the other side to be able to bring these channelings out to share with others? Because he saw that in you, is how I always look at it. The ones that have crossed over, they see that potential that's lying inside of us. And they know that when we go within and get anchored, quiet our minds and go into a quiet time, it will come out. And I could just hear in your voice, it was like your dad was right there helping you through all of these channelings, and the one that was helping bring this out of you and helping you find that you were an anchor on the inside of yourself. Do you feel that way?
Yes, I really think and feel like because he showed up at that exact time at the start before I had this breakthrough. I think and feel that he really he was there, and he was around, and he was nudging me kind of. And it's certainly the case that it has crossed my mind that he's actually in a better position to help me along and on my journey now, where he's now than when he was here with us physically. I probably wouldn't go so far to say that that the point in time when he transitioned had anything to do with me, but after the fact, right. I would say that's certainly something he has had a hand in. I think so. Yeah. I like to think so, and it feels so to me, simply because I had this connection to him, and this encounter with him at that time.
Yes. Well, that was kind of the energy and the feeling that was coming across when you were talking about that your dad was very much a part of this channeling and helping you through it. So, that was just beautiful, especially as a skeptic going into this spiritual journey, to share then within just really a very short period of time, within a year's time, you were feeling all of this, less than a year. So, Susanna, that was just beautiful. I thank you for every word that you spoke there. And as we know, this show is about to come to an end again. Unbelievable. So the first couple of things I would like to ask you, the first thing is, will you please return back to Robust Lifestyles? Because I really feel there's so much more that you have to share with our listeners that can help them on their spiritual journey, or help them to learn to go with inside and find that anchor that's within them. I love that. I love how you put that, to go within, and you felt so anchored within. That is beautiful. So would you return as my guest again on Robust Lifestyle Show?
Yes, of course. I would love to come again. I mean, the time has passed so fast again. It's incredible. I wasn't aware that we're already at the end or again. And yeah, I would love to. And I think you pointed out something really important, that this going within. That's really been part of my journey of the last couple of years, actually, when I transitioned to being a coach. And the thing I'm actually helping clients with also in a hypnotic state, because that's the shortcut for people who are not easily able to access it themselves right away, or may struggle with meditation. Then hypnosis is really helpful. A trance is really helpful for that, to just have it induced by someone from the outside. And that's all about going within and finding, finding your core, and finding also your core strength and the things that are right for you now. So that's a really important part. And that's something I've learned, that we have to, if we want the solutions and the answers and all that, and find our way through everything, the best way is to actually take the time and go within and feel within.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I so agree with you 100%. Oh, I love that. And before we do close, would you please share with our listeners how they may connect with you, Susanna?
Yes, for English-speaking listeners, it's actually best to hit me up on Facebook. I have a page there, Susanne Kurz Coaching, and there I have bilingual posts, and I only have posts in one language when it is about something that's only available in one language. But usually I do bilingual posts, and I do a lot of English posts, and I have my profile set up in both languages. So that's easiest, I think, to grasp. And also on Instagram, that's just Dr. Susanne Kurz, Kurz. And generally on social media you find me, and I have a YouTube channel, which is also with my name, and my you also find it with Susanne Kurz Coaching. But essentially, if you go by my name with the title, you will find me. You need the title, the doctor before it, because my name is very common, and there's even a physician now, a doctor now, a medical doctor now. She's new, she's very young. She didn't used to be there, but by the same name. But you find me then. You find me then more easily. And even on Google, I have a Google page, and there's a connection to all my social media pages. And that's the easiest thing, because my website still is in German. I'm working on getting it turned into English too, so we have a really good platform for both languages. But yeah, currently social media is best for English speakers.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that information also, Susanna. This has just been a magical show, and I want to thank you so much and wish magic into until you and I chat again on Robust Lifestyle Show. And I want to thank all of our listeners for listening to this absolutely magical show with our incredible diva, Susanna Kurz. And you heard she will be back in January of 2024 to share more of her spiritual journey. Please share this show with all your family and friends. Check out all the other hosts and their shows on divasthatcare.com. And remember, one of the biggest tips she left us was to go within and find that anchor that lies right there inside of you. And oh, what a beautiful experience it is when you touch with that anchor and find that it's just going within you, and all this beauty and magic starts to come out. And with that, I want to wish each of you a magical day. Remember, be kind to all. And one more thing, our founder, Candace Gish, has a wonderful book out called Podcast Journal, where you can write down all these amazing podcasts you listened to, where you saw them, and information about them. It's just an incredible book to keep track of every podcast that you watch. Give it to yourself as a gift and a gift to others. And you may find this on Amazon, and Absolute Love Publishing also has it on there. So with that, give your animals a great big extra hug. Share all your love with them as they so deserve it. Until we connect again on Robust Lifestyles, stay strong and healthy.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.